Hello everyone, this is 3X back with you again with another CAW University tutorial. And this tutorial comes by request from a member of the CAWS.ws forums, Creed of the Wild Child. And he had sent me a personal message asking how to make a blood spatter effect in the logo designer of WWE 13. So I'm going to go through exactly how to pull that look off, and I'm going to try to speed through this as fast as possible, but as you watch this you have to realize something. Making these kind of more, how you say, abstract effects and designs and graphics in the logo designer is going to take a little bit more time than, say, if you're doing designs for kick pads or tight designs or such like that, because unfortunately you can't use the mirror tool to do half of the work for you. You actually have to go in and put the work in yourself. So what I'm going to do here is put into the video on the sidebar there, you should see right now, the actual blood spatter effect that I'm going to be working from as I do this, because with these type of effects you definitely want to have a template that you should be working off of in order to make the effect look as authentic as possible. Mistake that a lot of people make when trying to do these type of graphics is going off of the top of their heads, which is definitely something that you do not want to do. Even the best artists use references. And I've said that about 1,000,000 times, and I'll say it about 1,000,000 more times, because it's something that you should definitely get into the habit of doing and using if you want to make better designs. Use references. So there you have the one on the screen there. And as you can see, what it is that I'm beginning to do is create the left side of the design. And again, as is always the case when you're using the logo designer, you're using the line tool to do all of your drawing. Now, what's tricky about this type of design, a splatter or anything that's kind of liquidy, or anything that really is rounded, is the fact that you have to create the illusion of rounded edges using lines, because the logo designer, or paint tool as old school people still call it, is a pixel based design tool, meaning it's using little itty bitty squares to create the parts of the whole of any given image. And that's pretty much the same thing with JPEGs or GIF files that you see all over on websites, TIFFs, PNGs, basically any form of image that you see on the internet mostly is going to be pixel based, as opposed to vector based, which uses more rounded edges. Those are more for like animations. Adobe Illustrator uses vectors. Flash, pretty much anything that looks more smooth, because as you can see, obviously from it being in close here, it's definitely a little rough around the edges, but when you zoom it out, you'll get the desired look of it being a splatter with the drops and the drips, and it will look authentic and look as close to the design I'm working from as possible, even though obviously it's not. And again, I've said that before. You don't need to be 100% accurate to the reference that you're working from. Just as long as you create as realistic an effect as possible to your own personal preference or desire, then you're just fine. Here you see me adding the grid just to help along the process of measuring out where the shapes and sizes of these pieces of this overall design should be placed, because as you can see from the original picture I'm working from, it's kind of split into 3 separate sections, where you got the small drip on the left, and then the larger form in the center, and then a slightly smaller section of the design on the right side that's kind of split in half. So I've already worked on the left section, and we just build here on the right, or should I say on the center, excuse me. And really in this case it's just a matter of making your freeform shaping and filling it out with the color of your desire. And what you want to do, as you see me doing here, is just zoom out every once in a while to see where it is that the overall design is going, where it's placed, if everything is in the right position that you want for it to be, because you don't want it to be in the wrong position and have bigger areas in some places than others, because then you're not really going to get an accurate or realistic result. It's kind of like art theory, so to speak. For those of you who are not familiar with it, they always say that when you're working with paintings or drawings or such like that, you should take a couple of seconds through each process that you're going through and just look at the work from a distance. Like, step back from whatever it is that you're doing and take a look and see how it's looking to the naked eye, to make sure that everything is in the right place. And that's pretty much what you want to do here, especially in the case of these type of designs. As I said before, it's trial and error with this type of design work, because you're really working from your own eyes and converting that down onto the logo design tool itself. And some people's eyes work better than others. It's really technical process. You don't necessarily need to be artistic to pull this type of stuff off, even though being artistically inclined certainly does help, but it's not mandatory, so long as you follow the proper procedures. Not to make it sound too mechanical, but it is a program that we are using to create these images, so there's a certain level of technicality that's involved, and that goes into the non-artistic person's favor, so long as they're doing it right, or so long as they know what it is that they're doing and what kind of effect that it is that they want to try to create, which unfortunately for most people they don't. And that's the reason why I'm doing these kind of tutorials here, to show you how. And hopefully by you seeing this being done step by step, you get a better idea of exactly what it is that you yourself should be doing step by step, as opposed to just speeding through it and fast forwarding it like I did with the other tattoo design that I had put up on my channel. That was just more like showing off, really, but this is more of a how to practical application in using the paint tool and using the line tool within the paint tool to create these assorted rounded edges that will ultimately result in the blood splatter effect. So here we are working in the middle section, and once again you can see how it sizes up to the original part of the original piece, and then we're just kind of connecting it to the final blob that's on the right. And after we get done with that is when we start putting in the minor details of the drips, or should I say the drops, the little spots and specks that are all over the edges of the larger drip areas. And that's really what makes the splatter effect take its shape. Now we just fill in this empty area with the color in the top portion there too. And we pretty much have the form down pat here. So now we go in and we start adding some extra detail. Well, first we start adding the final part to the right side of the design before I jump the gun here, which is pretty simple. It's just basically a whole lot of shapes, really, just abstract shapes that you're throwing together to create the look that you want to create. But you got to match it up to where it is on the original so that it does look at least halfway, 3/4 of the way, you could say, to the original. And as you saw there for a split second as I zoomed it out, it is pretty close. So it's exactly the kind of effect that you would be looking to make, and so far here I think I'm doing pretty good. So now we have our full actual form of the splatter design, the drips and so on and so forth. And so now we just go into the specks, the little dots and divots and things of that nature. And for that, we go to the shape tools, specifically the circle tool. And just like we were doing before, what we would do is basically create those abstract shapes and place them accordingly along the larger form or area. Once again, you're using this to create designs that look like rounded edges, even though obviously, as you can see, they're not, at least not up close. But from a distance, you'll see how the overall design pops out and looks exactly the way that it should look. So we're basically just going around and using the circle tool to create these spots, which would represent little specks of liquid. Wouldn't necessarily need to be blood. It could also be ink or water or whatever have you. that surround the larger dripped areas. And you see it's a combination of the smaller specks and then more larger coagulated puddles, I guess is the best way that I could put it, that are kind of like drips that match or form into larger drip areas. And you really can make a lot more of them than I am, but for the sake of speed here, because I don't want this tutorial to go on too long, I'm just putting them where I think they would make the most purpose to create the actual splatter effect. That being in places where they're actually going to be noticeable and visible. We got the left half done now. So we start with the right half, and again you can see from zooming out exactly the effect that it's beginning to create. Just add a little extra there. Start filling some of these smaller areas out. You could of course just wait till you are actually done making all of the drops and then fill them, but kind of a nitpicker in that category. I like to see things done as they're being done. Then again, maybe we'll just keep on going here and finish that off after we get everything where it's supposed to be. Which sometimes can be a little on the tricky side. You don't want it to be too much, and you don't want it to be too little. But you would basically use this type of design. I mean, obviously you can use it anywhere you want to. You make it, you put it where you want. But this would be perfect for like shorts or trunks, even tights, you know, if you want that Scott Hall type effect. And like I said before, it doesn't have to necessarily be blood either. You can change the color of it, make it black on white, and it'll be like ink splatters, or you can make it light blue and make it aquatic, like water, or really any color you want. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to just be the initial original design of what it is that you're making. You can ad-lib it and make it whatever it is that you want, depending on the CAW that you are creating. So this is really kind of arbitrary work here, and it's something that probably not a lot of people are too patient to do. But if you really want to step your CAW making game up, it doesn't hurt to at least experiment more with the paint tool or the design logo tool, and try to create these type of things or other type of designs yourself. They can really be as exact or as abstract as you would want them to be. Of course, I, for one, like more exact designs on my CAWs, like actual logos, and not just random designs that, unfortunately, I see a lot of people slap on their CAWs, you know, 1,000,001 different paint tool designs, and just because they're all color coordinated, they're supposed to be well done. And it just looks like a coagulated mess. I mean, that's just my opinion. Obviously, I'm not one to be critical on other people's cause, but the creative process certainly needs a little more fine tuning in some people's cases. And the easiest, well, maybe not easiest, well, maybe it is easiest way to pull it off is to just go in and learn how to use this thing for all it's worth. And so we see here the fully completed piece. That's it, 100%. I filled everything out, and all the drops are where it is that I want them to be, where they would make sense on the design. And if you put this on a car, it will look like an actual blood spatter because it's color calibrated and what have you like that. So you've seen the execution of the design from the first step to the last, and hopefully you can use this application for your own designs, or at the very least learn how to use the line tools to create different shapes, not necessarily just lettering or straight line vector type designs, but more abstract rounded edges and so on. So we're going to save this here, and what I'm going to do is put this exact logo up on the community creation servers for PlayStation 3 so you can have it for your own if you're too lazy to make your own. But as far as this tutorial goes, hope it helps. And again, if you have any other requests, you know where to find me. 3X is out and class is dismissed. See you guys next time.